So why sex workers are wary of Kamala Harris? I don't know if they're wary of anything at the moment, but though she claims to support decriminalization, Joe Biden has a regressive record. She has a regressive record most likely because she's prosecuting, whether it's prostitution or, strip clubs or whatever the hell she's doing on that end. To me, it's very simple, right? This is one of those things that's coming out of Anglo-Saxon Europe, where and the Catholic Church, where sex is demonized, but they're doing it with kids behind the curtains, and then sex workers are the ones paying the penalty. In civilized countries, listen, nobody wants to think of sex for money and that direct transfer, but this is real life. If that's what people want to do, there's a lot of sex workers that don't know they're sex workers. People are getting married for money. People are getting gifts for sex and all this other stuff. It's just human nature. Leave these people alone. If they want to make things a little bit more straightforward, they should. That's my opinion. But what do we know about Kamala Harris's record, or what are your guys' thoughts? Starting with Veronica, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, I have heard some things about her kind of like over-policing. I think that people that aren't really supportive of her have been coming out and saying that. I know that she was against people getting any sort of state funding in regards to the trans community that have been that were incarcerated. She did say that it wasn't really it was left with her, but she wasn't really too happy about the choices she had to make. So, I respect that she came out and said that she wasn't happy about that now. And I know that there's other things going on with school and all this stuff. I mean, at the end of the day, I think that sex work should be legalized, and I think that there's a lot of other things that should be involved in that in regards to testing, people getting some sort of licensing and being monitored and all of that. I don't know if she's really as supportive as she says. I mean, I think that that's going to be a big leap, even though sex work has been around for a really long time. I don't know if everyone is going to agree with me, because some people may think that people don't choose to be in sex work. There's people that do, and I think that people that are forced into it, that's not right at all. But for the people that do choose to do that, I think that they should be able to and not have to, and be able to make a living and do it in a safe, healthy way.
So listen, before I continue, it was the same thing with homosexuality and gay marriage, right? It's just the thought of two guys having sex, they couldn't handle it, and they then it was illegal, this and that. This guy Alan Turing, I'll never forget this. This the guy that invented, or was the founder of the modern computer, and he was gay, and the English government forced him to take some sort of hormones to fix him or something like that. And he killed himself. Why? Because they couldn't handle the thought of two guys having sex, because it was hypocrisy. It was the same Clinton, Kennedy type of hypocrisy where, oh, no, we're against it, but we're doing it 10 times worse behind the curtains. That's the bottom line. Let adults do whatever they want to do. Get over it, right? If you can't handle two guys having sex, I'm not trying to picture that in my head, but get over it. That's what they want to do. They're adults. They want to enjoy life. That's a part of it, and it just shows how immature the society is. It's just a matter of the timing and the era. In the future, that's going to finally change. Different countries in this world don't have that. There's red light districts in Amsterdam and in Tokyo and other places like that, where people are a little bit more mature about the subject of sex. So all of these people, it's just the same thing with marijuana. Oh, reefer madness, you're getting high. Oh, you're going to kill everyone, this, that, the second and the third. It's a fraud, and it's an immature society. Get over it. That's my thoughts. Monica, what are your thoughts on that?
So my point is, we were arguing before about empowerment angle, because nowadays, I grew up in a former Soviet country, and after the Soviet Union fell apart, a lot of people who lived there, a lot of women, because the economies collapsed, were forced into sex work. They never felt empowered. That was the economy forcing them to do so. If people choose to be in sex work, that's absolutely fine. You make that choice, you make that decision for yourself. But I feel like nowadays the economy is set up that way that people go to college, they graduate with a degree, come out of college, they can't find a job, right? The economy forces them to get into sex work to support themselves, to support their families, to support their children. And as a society, collectively, we should find a way to make the economy work for all instead of saying, oh, this is an empowering thing for you to do. Maybe it is for some people, it is not for many, right? And a lot of women who are in sex work face abuse, even in Netherlands that has legal sex work as well. 90% of women who are in sex work have faced abuse at the hands of people who buy sex. So, is it empowering? I don't know. For some people, maybe it is. Maybe it is not for other people. But at the same time, we should also look at the aspect of economy that forces young girls who have college degrees. A lot of them get on OnlyFans, right? And they sell their nudes for like, I don't know, $5 just to make a living, just to support themselves. Do I think it works for everybody? No. Do I think it should be legal? Yes. So as a society, we should collectively create a world where young girls don't feel the need to get into sex work unless they want to.
That's actually a very great point. There's not a lot of opportunities to make good money in this world without slaving away at some Chick-fil-A or something like that. You know what I'm saying? And it's very tempting to get into sex work and to be able to enjoy the other aspects of the world that you might be missing out on. Now, you know, I don't encourage any women to go about that, but if someone wants to take that route in life and say, you know what, at this time period in my life, I don't want to be stuck in some dead-end job, bare minimum, scratching around. I want to see the world. I want to travel. I want to have my free time, and I want to make money doing this. They should be able to do it. And the same thing as a person that wants to exchange their money for that type of experience, they should be able to. If there's another willing person on the other end. You know, there's the two routes. You keep it real. I went to this dentist, super elite, this and that. They got money. What are they doing? Buying Cartier bracelets for thousands of dollars, then gifting it to somebody, this and that. They call that in those aspects of society, they call it semi-pro, right? They call it semi-pro, where in essence they're exchanging gift for sex, right? Or some sort of other type of relationship. It's the same thing. Just be mature about it. This is what one person wants. One person wants sex. The other person wants money. They go, they meet, they exchange. If they're both happy at the end of it, then no harm has been made, and that's it. But, you know, that's, and the only reason why that's not happening is because of the hypocrisy of, Europe, essentially. That whole Catholic, you can't even get divorced, but then you find out that the priests can't get married, but then you realize that they're having sex with kids and this and that. It's just coming out. It's the hypocrisy. It's a lie. It's a fraud. And that's going to end just like the homosexuality and, oh, it's sinful, it's this, it's that. No, it's not sinful. It's just two people having sex. Get over it. That's what they want to do. And sex creates a lot of jealous emotions and a lot of things, and we'd have a healthier environment for a lot of other women as well. If men could really let off their desires consensually for a certain amount of money somewhere, rather than this sleazy sex trade of gifts and yachts and dinners and all this other bullshit that's going on right now. It would make things simple and easy, and it would make sex even less lustful, ultimately, because it would turn it into what it is, a human need that adults have, that nature is pushing them to do this. And in this crazy, kooky world, that's my thought of it. Boris and Nudie.
Go.
I mean, yeah, you can go. Yeah.
Okay. Whatchamacallit, so I mean, you guys have touched on a little bit of what I would have brought up, like, for example, repressed sexual desires. I think that there's a lot of repressed sexuality in our society, in our world, and sex work, if done in the proper way, if done in a regulated way where the people who are willing participants are tested and they have bodyguards, they have proper procedures. I think it would go a long way into fixing a lot of the negative externalities of repressed sexual desires, which occur, which create crime, create bad marriages, create a whole bunch of ills in society. But
let me just chime in at
yeah.
that point. Right now, sex is for the rich, essentially. You know what I'm saying? Successful people who have enough money to wine and dine certain women that they're gonna feel like this is a come up for them, and so on and so forth. While the average working guy, who knows what their story is. So there's a vast amount of attraction for people at the top, and no fun and games for people at the bottom. That results in rape and misbehaviors and frustrations and all this other shit. But continue.
Yeah, so I just want to give a little personal story. When I was 18 years old, I went to Amsterdam, and when I was in Amsterdam, I decided, I was young, I decided, I want to try out the red light district. So I ended up trying it out. I was able to choose a girl. The girl I chose, which pretty much was, it's like a commodity over there in a way. But I didn't want it to feel like a commodity, like I'm just using her. So which in a way I was. But I ended up meeting her, and we talked before and after. And she told me about her life, why she ended up coming into the industry and stuff. She was from Italy, and she ended up thinking she was going on a modeling gig to Amsterdam, and then when she got to Amsterdam, they dropped her, and her family disowned her in Italy because they found out what she was trying to do, and she ended up this is what she told me. I don't know if this is like true or not, but she ended up falling into the sex trade. But to me, the one thing that resonated to me that she said was like, she's like, you're a pretty good guy, like why do you want to do this? And the way that I answered it to her was because I want the experience. I wanted the experience of going to Amsterdam, to trying this out, and I don't see necessarily something wrong with that. But in a way, if she has been exploited, and if this was something that she was forced into, then I do, in a way, see something wrong with that. At the same time,
I mean,
two truths could be, evident at the same time.
No, for sure. I mean, I feel like in this conversation, not this particular one, but just in general, there's a lot of nuance that's lost, particularly because I know someone that is an advocate for sex workers. She and a group of other women went to Kamala Harris's office, and she refused to speak to them. And I think it's so interesting how people that are in these positions of power refuse to speak to actual sex workers, actual strippers, actual escorts, actual cam girls. Like, there's so many versions of sex work that people don't necessarily want to consider, but they still want to legislate and make these decisions without actually speaking to these women. So I mean, I guess that's my first point. And the second is, I do also think we should really differentiate between what is traffic and what is a consensual choice. And I also don't feel like that choice needs to necessarily be empowering. Why does it have to be oh, I'm stripping, or I'm an escort, I'm a prostitute, so now I'm so in charge of my body? Why can't it just be hey, I didn't want to get a part-time job, or I really wanted to leave my full-time job, so now I decided to do XYZ. It doesn't have to be such a moral argument. I really feel like in a capitalist system, there is no inherently ethical form of work or some way that you're sticking it to the man or so morally superior to someone else. And I don't feel like sex work is necessarily morally inferior or superior. It is work. It is a normal job in a capitalist society. And to the third point, I suppose, I think that sex work should be both decriminalized and legalized. So that way someone that just chooses the way a lot of girls want to, just kind of under the table, I don't want to get tested, I just want to find someone and just do my thing, that's fine. And if someone wants to franchise out and start a business, I also think that's great. Let it all happen. I don't feel like this is one of those few things where I really don't feel like the government should be, I just feel like the government shouldn't play morality police, and that's what I feel like legislating against sex workers does. I'm not against sex workers being, or should I say having, testing, or maybe the way a hairdresser has testing or licensure, but I don't think that it's to put so much pressure on sex workers to say it has to be a certain way and you have to be a certain type of person really disempowers everyone involved.
This is the way it works now. They go to the strip club, you know what I'm saying, and then the guy with the money to burn pays $3,000 for the champagne room or whatever it is, and who knows what's going on in there. That's pretty much where the sex happens. All right, that's And what does it come down to? Who's got $3,000 or $4,000 that's a working person or whatever it is to have sex? So that's the way it works now. I don't know what the club charges for that. The doors are locked, this, that. It's a sleazy scene. The way, if you ask me, the way it should work is, because people go to these strip clubs, what are they going there for? To read? It's a book club? No, it's a strip club, right? They have all these experiences, and if they find a girl, they catch a vibe, if you ask me, and they find a girl, they should be able to go rent a room or upstairs. And listen, while we're on the topic, I'm telling you exactly the way I see it. People at the strip club, some guys actually like the girls and they want to get involved one way or another. They should be able to go and do that and work out some sort of an arrangement. And that's the way it probably should work, and currently does happen in this society as is. But right now, when that type of behavior is going down, you got to worry about the cops bursting in or something like that.
I gotta push back. I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I'm sorry, I usually try not to interrupt, but as a former stripper and someone that stripped through undergrad and graduate school, I have to say that it's not necessarily, oh, you'll pay $3,000 and you get to have sex in the champagne room. Me and Chris Rock would both agree that's not what happens. You can pay me $5,000, $10,000. That does not entitle you to my body at that point. So that's my first point I have to push back
Well,
on.
obviously it's got to be consensual. I mean, you're paying for the room,
But the room
but that's
doesn't-
usually what happens in there, if you know.
I feel like in certain boroughs, maybe. I feel like as someone that's danced in both, like, all across the United States, in New York, it is kind of pay to play. Whatever happens, happens. But in places like Colorado and places like maybe Idaho in certain clubs, and especially like in Manhattan specifically, you don't have sex in the champagne room. Maybe, like I said, I've worked at some sleazy clubs. I have worked in some sleazy clubs that it does go down. But in certain clubs that are more quote-unquote upscale,
Right.
it doesn't. So that's just my...
Well, I guess, I mean, you know, in some cases it doesn't. I mean, there's a lot of sleazy things going on. I had a lot of high-end clients that would be, what do they do? They meet these girls and they drag them out one way or another. They throw vast amounts of money in the air. The girls get attracted to them, whether they go to the champagne room or not, or they meet up after because they got the money. That's the way it works now, as far as I've seen personally. If you want to legitimize it, you know, these people have to meet. And where are they going to meet? Are they going to meet like on you know, Tinder, and you know that you show up and you knock somebody's door and there they are in their pajamas or their bathrobe or something like that? Nah, it's not the way you want to do it. If people meet at the strip club and they want to have that choice, because they're already in that environment, they want to have that choice, they should be able to make that choice there and conduct that transaction there. That's what I'm trying to get at. Whether they're having sex in the champagne room or not, some people are, some people are not. That's why the sleaze comes in, because it's illegal and this and the money and you said and I said and here and there. That's not what you want. That makes things complicated. It is a whole biological process that you're engaging in. But whatever, you know, that's just my opinion. I'm voicing my opinion honestly and openly. That's all I'm doing. I told you what it is. You've heard from a variety of different people, a variety of different opinions. There's obviously abuses, there's strip clubs, there's this, there's that, there's money, there's sleaze, there's Cartier bracelets. There's all sorts of shit going on. But, you know, that's life. And you're not going to make any progress if people shut the door on you and pretend nothing's happening and then go do it in the back scenes on Epstein's Island. So that's my point of view. I think everybody got their point of view across. This is going to be obviously the two-part series here of, you know, and you can always join our organization and have a different view.